Hi, second graders. Happy Tuesday. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying the beautiful weather outside. I've really loved getting a chance to see all the work that you guys are posting on Seesaw. I can see you guys are working really hard. I know it takes a little bit of a while to get used to how to write on documents. So you're welcome to either write on them, there's a way that you can do that, or you always can still print them out and solve them like you would, and then just take a picture and you can upload that to Seesaw too so that I can see it. I also loved seeing your guys' life cycle of a butterfly. That was so cool. You guys drew the pictures and then you put voice with it. I loved watching those. I think that'd be something really cool that I can share with the whole class. So that's something I might be doing, is sharing student work if everyone gives me permission to do that. So maybe be looking for that. I wanted to give you an update on our caterpillars. They have moved out of the egg stage, which we know. Then they moved to the caterpillar, and now they're in the chrysalis stage. So I just worked on moving them, and it's pretty funny. I'll show you what they look like. I have to be really careful with them. And what I'm going to do is move them here. You can see that guy's moving. Isn't that weird? So he's in the chrysalis, but it's moving around. Anytime I kind of move it, you can see that he's just kind of flopping in there. The other one was doing that too. Anyway, we have, who do we have? We have Skittles, we have Reese's, we have, I think we said Twix and Snickers and Hershey's. So they're all right here. They're in their chrysalis stage right now. You can see he's moving. I'm going to set him down. But he's been doing that for a couple minutes now. I don't think he likes when I'm moving him. So then I will put that in our butterfly netting so that when they do hatch, they won't fly away in my house. Anyway, so they're moved into their next stage, and it's going to take about 7 days for them to move into their next stage, the adult stage. And so I'll just give you updates every day, show you kind of what they're looking like, what they're doing, and then hopefully within the next 7 to 10 days they'll hatch and we can watch them for a little bit, a couple days, and then we'll set them free to go outside. All right, we have a new Penelope Peabody clue that I get to give to you today, but before we do that, we're going to go over the clue that I gave to you on Friday. And if you haven't noticed, I posted yesterday's nightly read aloud to the Seesaw, so that's my plan. You can still find it on YouTube like you always do, but I will upload it to Seesaw so that if you don't get a chance to see it, see this at night, that you can watch it the next day when you're doing your lessons. And I had several students comment on the video with the correct answer, which was really cool too. So here's the clue that I gave you on Friday. A few days ago, I was in California, but I kept driving northward. Now I'm surrounded by majestic mountains and cold snow. A nice woman welcomed me to the 49th state. She was going to take me salmon fishing, but I didn't want to leave my red convertible parked near all of those polar bears. I spent the week racing sled dogs in the Iditarod and panning for gold instead. This is a beautiful place, but I don't know where I am. What state am I in? So here's the clue that was given to you. And I had more answers come in today on Seesaw. And remember, you can comment on the YouTube video. You can comment in Seesaw now, or you can also send me a message on the Remind app. So I have 7 students that got this one correct. Adelaide got it correct. Cadence got it correct, and her dad was born there. Ava and Weston got it correct. So did Caden, Lucas, and Emerson. Great job, you guys. You all got that question correct. And the question is, where is she? What state is she in? She's in Alaska. Alaska is where she is in. And I'm going to show you a picture of our map of the United States. And we live up here in Washington. And this picture, this is what we call right here the continental United States. Alaska is not in the continental United States. It's actually separate. The two states that are separate are Alaska and Hawaii. And this picture is kind of a little misleading because it makes it look like that Alaska and Hawaii are right next to each other, which doesn't make sense at all. The reason they do that is they just popped off both states and they stuck it just so that it would be on this paper. But I'm going to show you where Alaska really is compared to the United States. So it looks like it's like below California, even though it's not really. Okay, so I'm going to color in our Alaska state on this map. And I've printed another map so that you can see really where Alaska is located compared to where we live and compared to where the continental United States is. Alaska was the 49th state. There's 50 states in the United States, and Alaska was the 49th. And Alaska is up north, so it's much colder up there. That's why they have polar bears. And it's a very, very large state. Let me color it in for us so you can see what it looks like. All right. So here's Alaska. It shows it here. It's not below California at all. Here is a map of North America, right here. And so this part of the United States is this, okay, you see? So here is the United States. And Alaska is up north, and it's actually totally disconnected from the continental United States. You have to go through Canada all the way up here. So this right up here is Alaska. And we know that the equator is right, this says the Tropic of Cancer. So the equator is down here, and the further we get away from the equator, the colder it gets. So you can see that Alaska is all the way up here. That's why it's so cold. So I'm going to mark it right here so that you can see where it is. Alaska it borders Canada, and it also borders the Arctic Ocean. So it's very cold up in Alaska, and it's up very, very north of the world. And that's why it's so cold, is because it's not close to the equator. And I'm just going to draw, you can see, I'm going to put in kind of color in the United States. And I'm going to put an X where we live so that you can kind of see where Alaska is compared to us. So this is the United States. This right here is Canada. This X right here shows where we are. And then if you go north up this way, it shows where Alaska is. So Penelope Peabody was up in Alaska with the polar bears and the sled dogs for the Iditarod, which was pretty cool. All right, our next clue, which I will tell you the answer to on Friday. Here's your next clue. This is clue number 7 for Penelope Peabody. My GPS says I'm in the Panhandle state. The shape of this state really does look like a pan or a pot with a handle. A kind family said I should try the corn dogs at the Tulsa State Fair tomorrow. I can't wait to go. I'm sure I'll have a wonderful time, but I'm lost. What state am I in? So here is your clue. This state is nicknamed the Panhandle State, and it actually does look like a pot or a panhandle. And it says that they need to try a corn dog at the Tulsa State Fair. Tulsa is a city in this state. So get me your guesses to that. You can send me your answers on the Remind app. You can send me an answer through Seesaw. You can comment right on that, or you can send me it through the email. All right, today's story is Ricky the Rock That Couldn't Roll. I'm going to scoot over a little bit so you can see. There we go. I have read this story to you before. This is written by Jay Miltilsky, and it's illustrated by Aaron Warnock. Ricky the Rock That Couldn't Roll. Over the lake and out past the bay was a green grassy hill where the rocks came to play. They would race to the top to take in the view, then roll their way down the way rocks love to do. There were Kip and Pip and Chester, and Marvin the Boulder. Ignatius played too, though he was much older. And a group called the Pebbles never ever sat still, zigzagging their way up and over the hill. Kai was a meteorite and not from this planet, and Maya was lava but taken for granite. Stu was the smart one, Parker the clown, and grumpy old Ebert rolled around with a frown. Gabby was sassy, Leslie had flair, Emma was giggly, and Hud had black hair. How do you make a tissue dance? Seriously. You put a little boogie in it. But the one trait that seemed to be shared by them all was that every rock there was shaped like a ball, and because they were round, they could easily roll through the grass, past the lake, up and over the knoll. Except for poor Ricky, who quietly sat. You see, Ricky couldn't roll because one side was flat. What part of this is supposed to be fun? His friends didn't get it. Come roll, they would chant. So Ricky tried, but he replied, I'm sorry, I can't. But the rocks were determined. They were sure they could solve Ricky's flat-sided problem and help him revolve. So Marvin the Boulder, with his impressive physique, carried Rick all the way up to the hill's grassy peak. Then he pushed him downhill, yelling, Keep rolling, kid! But Rick didn't roll, he just kind of slid. This feels like a bad idea. Well, the rocks weren't done, not by a mile. Surely this next try would get Rick to smile. They stuck rubber balls all over Rick, using big gobs of glue to get them to stick. They were proud of themselves. This will work, they announced. But Ricky still couldn't roll. Now he just sort of bounced. No good, no good, no good. Well, they pushed and they pulled, trying every which way to get Rick to roll, but by the end of the day, nothing had worked just like Rick expected, and he ended up feeling depressed and dejected. It's no use, Ricky sighed. There just isn't a way, so I'll sit off to the side and I'll watch you all play. But his friends wouldn't quit. We're here for you, brother, and we got you. We'll get you to roll one way or another. So they pondered and thought, each straining his brain, till they looked up and saw it was starting to rain. And that's when it hit that smart stone named Stu. Eureka, he thought, I know just what to do. He explained to them how they would get Rick to tumble. My plan is pure genius. Stu wasn't too humble. So they carried our hero down the road about a mile to the lake where they gathered up mud they could pile on the flat side of Rick, creating a mound that they shaped smooth and sculpted until it was round. Then after the rain with the sun in the sky, they left him to bake till the mud was all dry. They gathered up vines and one colorful feather that they wrapped all around Rick to keep it together. Does anyone have a towel? When the last knot was tied and the work was all done, the only step left was for Rick to have fun. They stood back and watched, feeling nervous and tense, as Rick breathed in deep with increasing suspense. He moved slowly at first, testing out his new mold, and then, for the first time, Ricky the Rock rolled. So Bria, the ladybug who'd been there from the start, felt a surge of pure joy swell up in her heart. She thought as she watched her friends play on the hill that there's always a way if there's also a will. And she said to herself as Ricky rolled down the slope, sure, you're surrounded by love. You always have hope. The end. I love that story. Ricky and his buddies didn't give up. They persevered even though it was hard, and they achieved their goals. Guys, see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Keep sending me those things on Seesaw. Bye.